Here on the Frostburg Sports Network, and we have another season preview, and it's Acrobatics and Tumbling with head coach Katie Nunley. Coach, I just want to get some of your overall thoughts on how the team has been looking this year in terms of the fall practice and now getting into some of the winter practices and looking ahead at your meet schedule.
Fall did us well. It was actually nice to get a full fall season to practice. They progressed fairly quickly, especially for the newbies coming in, and even for my returners. They didn't really get to touch on a lot of the skills that we did work, so they picked that stuff up quick. They transitioned well from going to our dead mat versus the floors that they're used to being on for tumbling. But yeah, overall it's been well. Winter practice went really good. Starting to run through team event, and I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Looking back at last year and obviously the difficulties with COVID-19 and this being a brand new program where it was unfortunate for a lot of those freshmen that they didn't get that full experience, but now they bring in that meet experience from last year with the amount of experience that they were able to get and how many competitions they were able to be a part of. And for some of the transfers that had some of that experience that came in, being able to teach some of those younger players, and now you bring in a whole new freshman class as well to pass on more experience. How valuable has it been for them to have that full off season and the amount of time to prepare for this year, where last year was kind of just throwing into meet competition almost automatically?
Yeah, it's been a lot better on their bodies, I will say. I think that's where we've benefited the most. Last year with the stop and go of everything, we had quite a bit of injuries, and it was just more than the amount that they normally would have been put through with meet after meet. So having my returners come back and being able to, hey, you can't do this in a meet. You got to watch this. It's been nice for them to be able to help peer coach their teammates, and it's been nice for me to kind of sit back and take a look at everything versus having to, being in every little thing and remember every little detail. I think I'm going to give a correction, but then one of my girls, they already are giving it. So it's okay, I don't have to worry about that. I can move on, and if I need to remind them, then I'll do that. But if not, then they got it taken care of. So they've done really well with that. I will say the returners are really talking up what the meets are. This 2 weeks that we have before our first meet, I told them it's pretty much going to be brutal. I'm going to be extremely harsh on you guys. I'm looking at all the things that judges are going to pick up on. But once meets come, it's going to be fun. And all the returners were like, yes, this is the worst part of it. If you can get through this, meet season is the best time. You get to have fun on the sidelines, and you just get to compete.
It's something that is sort of unique in acrobatics and tumbling of, personally, I've seen it in swimming as well, but, you're cheering as much for the other team as you are for your own teammates at times. To be able to see them succeed, it gives you a feeling as well. And it's very unique where, you think of, football or soccer where you're really against the other team and there's a lot of shouting and bickering and fighting. But in your sport, it's very much a camaraderie with both teams. And when you're at the tri-mites, all three teams of just hoping that one another does well, because it doesn't exactly look great on you if you have your best scores, the other team doesn't exactly perform. But when both teams are performing at the highest level, then you know that it's a true competition.
Yes, exactly. We are such a small community for acrobatics and tumbling as it is. A lot of us coaches have either been competitors against each other or we've been on the same team with each other. So we just want to see this sport succeed at the end of the day. Obviously, we want our teams to succeed, but that is just our own thing. That's just our natural competitor inside. We obviously always want to win, but when the other teams that we're competing against, if they're at the same caliber or even higher, and we're going against them and we're competing with either the same or a little bit lower of a start value and scoring just as well, that shows our true talent and kind of where they stand as well.
From a personal standpoint for you coming in last year as the program's first ever head coach, what lessons have you taken from that past year and the meets of this team that is held together strong, and a lot of returners have come back, where you say some of them have turned into player coaches and helping you as much as you help them, but taking the lessons from last year and taking them into this year of knowing that your own abilities and limits as well as the team's limits as well?
I really pushed them in the fall, and we've kind of put a lot of things into perspective, just with top 15. We had to rank our top 15 and rank our MEC schools as well. And all the girls were like, we should definitely be in the top 15. I'm like, well, this is what it takes to be in the top 15. So I've kind of been like, you want to be ranked in that top 15 seed, then these are the things that we need to start working towards and progress towards. Like, we have the talent for sure, but it's getting them out of their comfort zone, which I've seen a lot of them step up and a lot of them try different things, which I know kind of scared them a little bit, but they've done really well and they actually are excelling at it. So just the more that we keep pushing them to, get out of that comfort zone and try new things, this team's going to go really far.
Talked about a couple of those MEC teams and looking at the preseason poll for the conference, and had us pick third behind West Liberty and Fairmont State. And Fairmont State, a top 10 team nationally last year, and West Liberty joining them in the MEC championship last year as well. Two real flagship programs for the conference, but also says a lot about this team, where being picked third ahead of some established programs that have been around for a number of years, and this really is a season and a half of competition for this team coming in. But to look at those teams at top and go to the team and be like, yes, it's great that we're picked third, but we can also try and challenge those teams at the top as well.
Yes, I think going in as beginning of season and being third is a great position for us. I know a lot of the teams that we competed against last year, they commended us on a lot of events that we were competing because we were competing them well. And, I'm excited to be third, but I know that puts a lot of pressure on the girls as well, because if we can stay in that third spot, that would be great. But we will definitely have some tough competition. I know Fairmont and West Lib aren't going to hold back, so I'm excited to compete against them. For the girls to really see kind of where they hang with those teams, especially us being only a second-year program. I know last year going against Fairmont for tosses, we definitely were better in that event, and their coach commended us on that, and she was like, what do you do for that? I'm like, to be honest with you, they're just really good at it. It just kind of came natural. So I love toss because we are really good at it, and that's something that I'm excited to show this year, because we've actually got a lot of time to train new skills and to kind of step up our game in that aspect as well.
In terms of, we've talked about some of the returners and the amount of experience that comes back, but there's also some new experience and some freshmen and transfers that have come in as well. What has it been like to teach them and sort of be like, I'm going to put you in these events, and you mentioned some of the uncomfortability with some of them, but teaching them new skills and putting them in stuff that they've never done before, but having just sort of a natural confidence that they can do it. It's just a matter of going out and practicing it, and then come meet time, they might do some things that they've never done before, but it's the trust that you put in them to be able to accomplish those events.
Yeah, it's with learning anything new, there's always scary aspects to it. Acro definitely has a lot of those, with learning how to trust somebody, with holding them, or you holding that person in the air. My freshmen have done a great job. I have one that is specifically just a top, and you can definitely tell she's a little scared in some events, but we've been working one of our team event acros, and just over the past week or two, she's gotten so much more confident in it, and it shows whenever she's getting ready to do her skills. And I have one that is more of I would call her a utility player. Nia, she can top, but she can also base. And then Kaylee, she's done amazing. She just kind of has a natural talent at picking up stuff. Probably first 2 weeks in at practice, she already had a toe pitch, and that's probably one of our harder skills to teach freshmen, because it takes a lot of what we're doing in the weight room and kind of putting it together with the skills that we do at practice. So she has been a great base for us, and her and Nia have been basing a lot of our pyramids as well. So they've really just kind of bought in and really have just owned what their strengths are. So they've done really well with that.
Again, speaking a little bit of last year, and the beginning of the season was kind of tough in terms of looking at the overall results, and you say, well, they lost by over 100 points and here and there, but a lot of that is because they weren't able to have the numbers and the mentality and the practice to do team events, which is the largest event, of course. But going into this year, and we talked a little bit last year about having to put in lower start values just because you're not sure exactly where the talent of this team is and their capabilities. Now going into this year, you're going to have better ideas of being able to put in higher start values and them matching or coming close to those expectations and being able to run full team events from the start. What is it going to look like this year compared to last year where, really ramped up the end of the season, but getting the head start on this year from those starting values and team events?
For this year, you're going to obviously see a team event from first meet till the end, which I'm excited about. And it's a much more amped up team event than what we were able to do last year. So I'm excited for that. My goal for us as a team was just to have 100 or above 100 start value, which we're at, so that's exciting for us. And then our acros are pretty much almost all of them starting with a 10-0. So that's exciting. And then we actually have two 10-0 pyramids that we're looking to compete as well.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for coming on to talk about your team. We're very excited for the second season here and really the first full season of acrobatics and tumbling at Frostburg State. But want to wish you the best of luck on your season going ahead.
Thank you.
All right, well, stay tuned. We'll have some more season previews coming up in the next week. So be sure to stay tuned for all your Frostburg sports. And as always, go Bobcats.